There you go.
And I probably should have asked you this at the beginning, but how did you even get into film? Because film is such a unique industry.
Well, I think I was about 11, and my friends and I had an idea for like a home video kind of thing, which we never made, thank goodness. But it was going to be terrible. But I said, I'll write it.
Right.
I didn't know how to write a script, couldn't spell half the things I was trying to. And as I was writing, I'm like, okay, and then we get into a sword fight, and this guy's arm gets cut off. I'm like, well, how are we going to film that? I'm like, all right, I learned how to do a special effect where, that would work for that. How do you choreograph a sword fight? All that. And so through writing that is when I got my introduction into filmmaking, just because me and my friends were going to do it. It wasn't exactly my passion. I had a lot of things that I was interested in. But I don't know if you've seen The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the Narnia movie.
Like bits and pieces of it.
So I was raised with those books, and my mom would read to us. Awesome. And I was interested in filmmaking when the movie came out. And I had this story in my head my whole life. I don't remember the first time that I heard this story, okay? And and by the way, this isn't even my favorite movie.
I was
okay?
say, why that movie out of all the movies?
Well, what happened was there's this scene where Mr. Tumnus meets Lucy in Narnia, and there's a lamppost, and there's a point where the two of them walk off together. And there's this shot in that movie. It's a wide shot, and there's a lamppost, and they're walking off. And I'm in the movie theater watching this, and it hits me like a giant brick wall, because the image that was there was like snowflake for snowflake, exactly how I had imagined that shot. Not shot, but that moment. Before I even thought of it as a shot, how I imagined that moment my whole life.
Wow.
Total God thing.
Yeah.
I was like,
Not a
what the heck is that? And that was, and I mean, it's like, it's even like the characters are facing away. So like you don't even see the actors' faces, because like how I imagined
and
Lucy's
that's how you envisioned it before you even got to see the movie.
Yeah, but it's like, I didn't have like, James McAvoy, the actor's face in my head when I was a little kid, obviously. Right. But the character, they're facing away. I'm like, this is exactly, and that was sort of like the tap on the shoulder. And I just, the way that I perceived it was God saying, do that. Have an idea, have a vision, and put it on screen. And lots of people who aren't necessarily spiritual have the same kind of drive to, like, they have an imagination, they want to show it to people. Like, that is something that isn't necessarily special or unique about my story. It's like that's what we're doing. We have our dreams that we can show you anytime we want. And the whole, but that was one of those moments where it's like, I had never seen my imagination perfectly just in front of me where I could see it.
Yeah.
And that was the moment where I got that feeling, that high, that purpose, without having to myself spend months and millions of dollars or whatever it took them to make that movie. It's like I had it in my head and they did it. And I was like, wow. Because most of the time you go to a movie that's based on a book you like, you get annoyed with it most of the time. It's like, It's not what I thought it was. But that one shot, it's like half a second long. It's like blink it and you'll miss. It's a very small, almost an incidental shot in the film. Yeah. And it's the shot that like changed my life.
Wow.
So that's how I was already interested in film, but that was the thing where it's like, do that.
Do that. So that was like confirmation for you. And it's interesting. It's almost like foreshadowing. Like he was showing you like what's to come. Like this is going to be what you're going to be doing. Like I'm going to give you this image, and then I'm going to show you this image in your head, and then I'm going to show you this image in this reality, and this is going to be confirmation for you to pick up the camera.
That's how I see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the beautiful thing about storytellers is that you get to capture, your visions. And not everyone can articulate and put their vision in a way that other people can understand it and even enjoy it. So I do feel like that is a gift within itself. And so what would you say your, let's say, top 2 like life tips that what did you think I was going to say?
No, I didn't know. I was just like,
okay.
Here
your
we go.
top 2 life tips that kind of help you see transformation in your life, that help you become a better person, that ultimately just changed your life for the better. What would you say, like the top 2 or 3 things that you did?
That's a good question, because it's like, yeah, not just like, hey, what advice do you have, but what advice do you have that actually changed your life? That's
yeah, because we're looking for.
I should ask people that. Okay, so I can give you. I don't know if this is in the top 2, but one of the biggest things that I've done is find ways to express things with my own words. Because it's really easy to fall into repeating what other people say.
So easy.
Whether that's a political slogan or a bumper sticker or an argument that you heard someone else have, and now you're having that argument with a different person and you're just saying what they said,
Yeah.
Especially if you're like having an argument. My belief is that if you cannot put something in your own words, you probably have not thought about it enough for it to actually be your opinion. Someone else is just talking through you, which you should really be careful before you give that away for free.
That's so good.
Because it's like every person has the most complex thing in the universe we've found, which is the human mind. So every idiot out there has one, okay, has a brain. And if you are blessed with the ability to speak, if you're just going to spend all your time trying to shut this thing off or just say let someone else wag your tongue for you, that's I used to do that all the time. Okay, like I used to like think, okay, here's a topic that I'm interested in. This is what I think. How can I best express it? Because I had a hard time saying what I thought.
Right.
I had a hard time articulating my feelings, which of course makes me look like an idiot when that happens. And so I end up losing that argument, not because I'm wrong, but because I can't say what I think.
Right. Yeah.
It's not even always a shy thing. It's just trying to say it. So it's like, oh, I'll listen to this person. I'll have that argument or whatever it happens to be. And I don't argue as much as I used to. That's a big change. I'll get to that in a second. But
So having your own thoughts.
Yeah, and be able to
articulate.
It's
thoughts.
fine to quote people intentionally. Like, hey, Winston Churchill once said this.
Right.
Or there's this verse in the Bible that says that. Or Shakespeare, whatever. Like, there's nothing wrong. I highly encourage people to be well read, see if you can get a poem memorized, like just to do it, but so even with all that, I'm just saying, be able to articulate your opinions in your own words. And that has changed like my life.
Well, how so? I mean, that's pretty like it's so simple but so complex, and it's not very common because a lot of people are just regurgitating what they're hearing someone else say. You'll be surprised how many people just don't have their own thoughts, don't have their own dreams or visions, and they're just regurgitating someone else. They're like, but then you're really not your own person. Like, who are you? Or is that you speaking, or is that someone else? And it's like, who are you? So you don't even have your own thoughts. And it sounds simple, but it's not very common.
Right.
And so how has that changed your life?
It has changed the way that I think. Like, it has rewired my brain in a lot of ways. It's helped me to it helps me to come up with stuff that wasn't just given to me by someone else, like an idea. I'd say it's crazy, I guess, to assume that you're an original thinker, but I will say that my thoughts and ideas have become way more organic or I guess original than they were when I was just kind of getting, downriver of what someone else was thinking or saying. So expressing things in my own way made me think about them more, and not just how I thought about something. Like, I keep using the argument example, but not just that, but helped me to look at things differently. It just, it opened doors in my mind to be able to do that, rather than the same things coming through the same doors and saying something that someone else had heard before. Okay.
Right.
And that helped me to, I guess, have more unique opinions in general. Like, I still agree with people about all kinds of stuff.
Right.
But I fall less into a particular camp of thought, I guess. And so that's been huge, whether it's how I deal with people, whether it's how I make my films, how I try to see things from another person's point of view. Because if I'm, just regurgitating one side of a belief or an argument or something, it's harder for me to see where the other person's coming from, and be able to consider when I'm wrong, maybe, which, so being able to express things, that's how I came up with my, I don't know anybody else who actually believes that art is objective the way that I do. Like, I'll talk to people about it and they'll say, oh no, I agree with that. And then we get into what I really mean. And I have not found anybody else. It's like, I believe this is 100% true and no one agrees with me.
And you like that. You like that you can have, this is my thought, this is what I believe, and it's okay. That no one else believes it.
It's okay, because I'm not gonna let it hurt anybody.
Right.
If I am wrong, I don't think I am. I try to not think things that I know are incorrect. But yeah, so being able to express things in your own words.
And then what's your second one?
Second one, goodness, that has actually helped me grow as a person.
Yeah.
We
can just do one. That was actually a very good one.
Thanks. Well, I'll just give a small one real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Is really, really try to consider when you can be wrong about something. If you have
taking accountability.
Taking accountability. If you have a fight with a friend or something like that, you really, really be open-minded to having your mind blown with how wrong you were about something, across the board. Because although finding out, learning painfully is not fun, it's not, it doesn't feel good, but neither does working out necessarily. I guess it's probably not the best metaphor, whatever. But point is, if you do that, what I have found is that it has helped me to figure out and be more sure and realize when I am not in the wrong on something. Because I know what I don't have that ego or pride that's in the way. I'm not shackled by that. I know I'm not a stranger to shame. It's I don't let those kinds of things get in the way of me learning or growing or being a better person. Growing hurts. I don't particularly like it. I wanted to always just be a little boy and to have fun, you know,
Right.
but that's not how it works. And
No, that's
yeah.
so good.
So yeah, be really open-minded to not saying that you are wrong all the time. No, it's like you can be right. I believe that there is
Yeah.
right and wrong. There is good and evil.
Yeah.
You know, I do believe in those things very much. And there's plenty of those things that I am certain I'm willing to die over. But there's also have the humility and listen to people to know and be able to come to grips with. If you haven't been proven wrong on even just a little thing in a long time, you really need to like self-evaluate again, because there's so many things to get wrong, you know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And it like keeps you a student.
Yes.
You know, you have to continue to learn. Learning is how you grow. And if you're not growing or evolving, you're stuck.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You're stuck where you are. And so it can be very difficult for people to admit when they're wrong. But I find that normally with when people who don't have a relationship with God, because normally believers, you know, you want to grow, you want to evolve, and your ego and pride is kind of out the way. And you're open to constructive criticism, things that help you become better ultimately. So having your own thoughts and
be able to express them your own way.
And being able to express them, and then also being able to admit and take accountability when you are in the wrong. No, that's great.
Yeah.
Those are great life tips. And so I wanted to ask you, do you feel like God is using you to, I would say, like change the film industry in a way, or leave a mark of some sort?
Not so far. I do not have any illusions about if God has promised me any type of success, you know. I'm not like I have the drive and calling to pursue cinema, and it would make sense to me if there was some kind of ultimate reason for that.
Yeah. I just was,
you know,
wondering.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so far I'm not one of the big dogs, you know, and but I try to affect people positively when I work with them.
And that's awesome.
Yeah. Doesn't always work, but I do my best, and you know, so.
Yeah, where can people find your films if they were interested in knowing more, learning more about your projects?
Well, for me personally, my Facebook page for Peter J.S. Ragan LLC, which is probably going to get renamed pretty soon, but you can also find my I have a YouTube channel, which even if my Facebook page changes, you could find me at Peter Presents Iliad. It's a YouTube series that I did, and
Awesome.
It went well, and in the description I have whatever my most recent like follow me links are. So I try to keep that updated even if I don't like post to that YouTube channel very much, but that one's kind of like it's a steadfast thing. So yeah, but got a bunch of short films, got some visual art, that kind of thing, and working on a feature film now, and developing as my second one. So
Awesome.
yeah, it's exciting. But I'm also here at Studio Me, and y'all should come down for free tours sometime, you know. And
Absolutely. Yeah, they're great here at Studio Me. And so before we wrap it up, what would you want people to take away from your journey?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot more, because although I'm very open here on the podcast, my faith is not something that I talk about all the time. Even though it's in my head and I sometimes secretly in my actions every day. I've been kind of realizing more and more, like, a lot of people don't know the most important things to me. And and maybe maybe that is the point of them, maybe it's not. But if someone took something away from my journey on a personal note, it would be, this guy actually really does believe this stuff. Like, I really...
You're a true believer.
Yes. Like,
for sure.
Gun to my head, I will just start saying the Lord's Prayer until you pull the trigger. Like, I'm not giving that up for anything. And
that's good.
Yeah, it's like, if but yeah, I believe God's real. That matters. And I try to do something about it. I try to be realistic with some things. Like, I don't know, I'm not a huge world leader or whatever, but you don't have to be to affect your environment. And I try to, at least when I'm here or home or whatever, I try to make things be positive for people, no matter what they believe, where they come from, or anything like that. I want people to feel welcome in the studio. I want them to be pleased and happy with their content. If something happens, I want to make it right, So that's the...
That's awesome.
That's what I hope.
No, yeah, making a difference where you are, and that's ultimately, all we can do, And so, but I definitely feel that here. So thank you, Peter. I appreciate that, and thank you for being a guest on our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, and thank you, family, so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys listen, subscribe to the audio on Apple, Spotify, and all the podcast platforms. And today I'm wearing a God's Princess sweatsuit from the God's Princess collection on shopjordansjourney.com. It's super cute, guys, comfortable. Make sure you guys check it out. And the Journey Academy is coming. We have some great updates. You can follow us on the web at jordansjourneycoaching.com. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. God loves you so much, and so do I. Bye.